I'm Debra Birnbaum, I'm Variety's Executive Editor of TV, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the Whiskey Cavalier panel, or as they said earlier, Whiskey Cavalier. The French version. All right, let's bring him out, the man, the myth, the legend, Scott Foley.
Thank you guys for coming to a show that hasn't been on TV yet. I appreciate that. Surprising amount of people here. Hi, guys.
I know. We were worried it was going to be the two of us on stage talking to each other.
Yeah, we were backstage. I was like, is there anybody here?
Well, thank you guys for coming. We appreciate it, and thank you.
Of course, thank you for being here.
So, Scandal just wrapped. You filmed this pilot. Have you heard of the word vacation?
You sound like my wife. I have heard of it, but I was fortunate enough that this project was put together, and it just so happened that literally the day I wrapped Scandal, I hopped on a plane and flew to Prague where we shot this. So I'm on vacation right now in Austin.
Welcome.
Right? Saturday night too, Sixth Street is killing it tonight.
What was it about the pilot that made you want to sign on for it?
You know, this was, it sort of started, I was really fortunate that when Scandal was, the end of Scandal was announced, one of my friends, Bill Lawrence, who I've worked with before on Scrubs and Cougar Town, called me.
Who blew us off tonight.
Yes, that's right. He called me, he's like, we should do something next. I thought, yeah, all right. And we talked about the kind of project that he saw me in and what I wanted to do, and we came up with an idea. We sort of felt that television, the stuff that I used to love on network television, I wasn't seeing anymore. You know, I liked, forgive me, I'm going to age myself, I like Moonlighting and Remington Steele and Heart to Heart and Simon & Simon and all these shows that for some reason they don't make these fun 1 hours anymore. And I said I want to do something fun, especially coming off a show like Scandal where everyone was
Can't wait to hear how you finish the sentence.
No, I'm going to switch gears. As much fun as we had on set, it was not a light show in tone, and that's what I was looking for. So this, we came up with a concept. We found a writer in Dave Hemmingson. He wrote an amazing script, and it just, it all came together. And I'm really proud of this. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
What was it like for you watching it on the big screen?
It was cool. We were sitting up in the balcony, and I couldn't see how many people were here. There was like, I could see the first two rows, and I thought like, oh shit. But it was interesting. I took a couple pictures back there. I'm gonna send them to my wife and see, babe, I made a movie. Not just on TV. I'm in a theater.
You're in a theater. You're on the big screen. How helpful was it for you to have that shorthand with Bill Lawrence? I mean, you've worked with him on so many projects.
Yeah, it made a big difference. You know, Bill knows my sensibilities, both comedic and dramatic, although he's mostly known for his comedy stuff between Spin City and Scrubs and Cougar Town and Clone High, which was an animated show he did. And we talked about, you know, he's like, I knew you as the funny guy, and now people like to see you holding a gun. You know, I did a show called The Unit and then Scandal, and I'm always running around with a gun. And I said, yeah, I want to do something light. I want to be funny. He's like, yeah, but you got to hold a gun too. so it worked, and it was nice having Bill. We shot this. It took us 20 days to shoot the pilot. We shot it in Prague and in Paris. So it was not green screen. It was not green screen. It was the actual Eiffel Tower that I was running in front of. And it was great to have him, along with our writer, Dave Hemmingson, and our director, Peter Attenzio, who, if you guys don't know who Peter Attenzio is, you will soon. He directed like every episode of Key and Peele. He directed their show Keanu. He's a great director and really fantastic auteur. And it was great having all of them. You know, we'd do a take where I'd get it right as it was in the script. And then Bill was like, have fun, do something fun here, improvise. And it was really nice having him pitch ideas and allowing me to do that.
Did any of your improv end up in the final version?
All of my improv. Yeah, there were some. The scene, especially the scene where we were going through the border checkpoint, all the stuff with the don't read Russian and the, you know, I didn't know it ended up in there, but that line where I say, don't talk about my mother, I'm serious, that was improv. Don't talk about my mother.
There goes my next question.
We love you, Scott!
Oh, that's a guy. That's a dude. I love you too.
It's rare to see a show like this.
Always the guy screaming out. And I'm so happy for it. By the way, someone's got to start it. Someone can finish it. Preferably a female.
I love you, Scott.
That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted.
There we go. What was it like shooting in Prague? I mean, and I know you're going back there to film and to finish the production of this.
Yeah, Prague was.
Start, I should say.
Yeah, I'm moving my entire family to Prague for the year. I have 3 kids, so we found a school, we found a house. It was really amazing. It was an amazing experience. I'd never been over there before, to Prague specifically. I've been to Europe. And I was nervous as to what to expect. You know, I'm so familiar with the crews in Los Angeles and New York and Canada. They're really professional. And this crew in Prague was top-notch, man. It was amazing. Now, Prague, I don't know if you guys know this, but Prague has 13 months of winter. And I know that sounds hard to believe, but it's true. It was, as we were watching, I was pointing out to you, you know, the show was written to be shot in Los Angeles or New York, believe it or not, as everything is. And so, this is a ridiculous actor thing, wardrobe-wise, I wasn't prepared to be running around outside in negative 30. You know, I had 3 layers of long underwears on, and it was freezing. But the city was beautiful. The locations, as you can see, it was just a fantastic place to film. Everywhere you turn, it's something completely photographic, and it was amazing.
So what can we expect for future episodes? Is it going to be a case of the week kind of setup, or are there going to be long cons happening as well?
Yeah, well, I think both. You know, the idea that we've been working on is that each episode there's going to be not just a case of the week and a character-based story, but that there's going to be an overarching plot as well. You know, we're still sort of breaking the story. We were only picked up 3 weeks ago, so the writers haven't even started to set down yet. But it's a show that I've wanted to do for a long time. Like I said, that I've missed on television, and I was dying for something fun. You know, I just wanted some fun television, some true escapist television, something where there wasn't a murder, a kid wasn't getting kidnapped, it wasn't, you know, I think, for better or worse, because it started with cable, but now with all these streaming outlets, network television has felt they needed to step up the game, which I agreed with, but I think they did it in a way that took away a lot of the fun from television. You know, everything was, you know, look, I love Homeland, right? I'm a big fan of these shows. I watch, you know, all these heavy shows, and the problem is, I sit on the couch next to my wife and I make the jokes that I think Kerry should be making us all about shit he's got in his beard, or, you know, whatever it is. And I think there's room for a show like this, and I'm really excited that ABC thinks so too.
Yeah, and I think that's what audiences are responding to as well. I mean, and again, you mentioned moonlighting, so does this mean it's going to be that sort of will they, won't they vibe?
Yeah, I think it's not so much will they, won't they, but maybe on again, off again. You know, there's a Lauren Cohen, if you guys, anybody seen The Walking Dead? Nobody's seen The Walking Dead?
Called The Walking Dead, maybe somebody's heard of it.
She is fantastic. We had a great time shooting together, fighting each other. But you know, we really enjoyed each other, not just on screen but off as well. And I think that's going to play a big role, much like the Sybil Shepherd Bruce Willis thing did in Moonlighting.
Did you guys do a chemistry read together? Did you instantly hit it off?
No, you know, Lauren. I'm sure if any of you guys follow television news, there was a whole contract negotiation thing happening with her and The Walking Dead, and because of that, I think the networks during pilot season got very excited. And rumor is she had something like 12 offers on different pilots, which is unheard of. I mean, I've been doing television for 25 years. I've got 350 episodes of television, and I've never had 2 offers. Like, it's crazy. So there was no, it was we're gonna give this to her. You know, there wasn't like, well, we'll see if you guys get along and see how you read together. And it was really tough because I like to, obviously you want to get along, you want to have chemistry with the people you work with, and most of the time there's a situation where you can audition or you can meet someone for dinner. I didn't get to meet her, so I had to do some due diligence and try to find some people we had in common, tried to play, 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, and
6 Degrees of Scott Foley.
6 Degrees of Scott Foley, and it was tough. It was really tough. With all the television I've done, I was searching high and low for people that knew her, that knew me, that we'd worked together, and I went through the Walking Dead shoots in Atlanta. I've never shot in Atlanta, and a lot of their cast are locals, so I didn't know anybody that had been on The Walking Dead. I knew someone whose sister's brother had dated her. It was a whole thing, but it worked out really well, and I'm really proud of not just her and her work on this, but the chemistry that we had together and the relationship we developed.
I know you've done some directing in the past. Are you planning to direct any episodes of this?
I am, yeah. I'll probably do one episode in our first 13. The fact that we're shooting in Prague allows us to offer episodic directors 2 episodes, so they're going to come over and do blocks of 2 instead of, usually episodic directors come over, they do 1 and they get the hell out of there. But because Prague is 7 years away by plane, we're going to keep them over there for 2 at a time. So we'll have Peter Attenzio, who directed the pilot, is going to do 3 out of the first 12, so it leaves us with 9. So we'll have 4 directors, each coming to do 2, and then I'll do 1.
What is it you enjoy about directing?
I don't enjoy directing. I do it for the pension and the health benefits. Look, I've been really fortunate. I never wanted to direct, and I was given the opportunity. I started first with Felicity, who's coming to that panel tomorrow. I'm going to skip it. I started first on Felicity and then did it on The Unit. I did an episode of Monk. I did a few in Scandal, and I think I sort of joke and I say I don't like it. I love directing on set. I like being there with the cast and shooting a scene and moving the camera and working with my actors, and I hate sitting in a van and location scouting. I hate a prop meeting where they ask me what kind of explosive device I want, and they give me 10 options, and I say that one, but it has to look more like that, and I want a light with that. Like, the tone meetings where they tell me, I can't stand it. That's probably not what you wanted to hear. But I do love shaping a story when I'm on set, and the fact that I'm going to get to do this, and sort of, I haven't really directed any comedy. I directed a feature film that I wrote that was subpar, which was a comedy. But I think this is going to give me an opportunity to stretch my wings. I'm looking forward to that.
I've heard from other actors turned directors that they actually have a better relationship with the actors on the cast because they've been in their shoes, they know how to get the best performance out of them.
Yeah, I've found the directors that I relate to the most are the ones who have acted at one point or another, or even taken an acting class. There's a lot of, there's 10 different kinds of television directors. Some who started as directors of photography and love to move the camera. There's some who were editors and they know exactly what they need shot-wise and where they're going to cut and what. But for me, obviously, as an actor, I relate and work best with those who know how to talk to actors. And it seems strange. You'd say, well, actors are just people. People get very nervous on sets talking to actors, and there are, there's specific sort of do's and don'ts, and it sounds crazy to say, but you don't. Because what we do is so, I don't want to say, what we do is not difficult, it's not, but it's so specific, you can't, there's the old adage, never give an actor a line reading. Well, you hire us to say the lines the way we think it would be said. Don't come in and say it like this, give me a verb, give me something so I can then interpret it. There's a specific way that actors and I specifically respond to direction, and I think when you've at least taken an acting class or understand the process of what we do, it benefits everybody, and I love working with people who like working with actors.
What about the stunts that happen here? Did you do any of the stunts yourself?
Yes, of course!
Of course you did them all!
Of course, no, I did, I love doing stunts. I was lucky enough to do a show called The Unit on CBS years ago where we had... That's surprising. The dude says, I love you, Scott Foley. The girl's like, woo, for The Unit.
I told you they're TV fans.
I love that. Can I tell you, I love TV. I grew up on television. Everyone always says, don't you want to do movies? I don't. I like television. I gotta say, television.
So do we.
Television raised me. I grew up on Silver Spoons and Little House on the Prairie and, you know, Magnum PI. I love these shows, and I never wanted to do anything else. And I also hate looking for work. And when you do a film, it's done in 2 weeks or 3 months, and you gotta go find another gig. And with television, I get to work for 9 or 10 months straight. It's like I'm still in school, and then I have a summer vacation, and I come back. You asked me a question. The stunts, yes. Sorry, I was talking about myself. It's an actor.
That's what we're all here for.
Sure. No, I was able to do quite a few of the stunts myself. The only thing I didn't do was the jumping off the bridge. And that was because they wouldn't let me, insurance-wise. But the guy who did it, my stunt double miles, they're all on wires. It was very safe and good. I got to do all the running, obviously, all the fighting. There was a scene on the boat where after he takes out the vial, and we jumped from a moving boat in Prague onto the dock. I got to do that. It was very cool. The producers did not want me to do it, and I told the director, I was like, I got to do this. He's like, you're a producer too. I'm not gonna stop you. That was it.
And clearly from your scandal days, you know how to carry a gun.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about a gun. I'm not a gun fan. I know I'm in Texas, forgive me. I don't have anything against them, but I don't know. I always carry a gun. There's something about, what do you think that is? What do you guys think that is?
I don't know.
Not me specifically. Not me specifically, but story-wise, like there's a lot of, I mean, just in the same way that there's medical shows and legal shows, I guess there's gun shows, right? You know, like, I guess it's drama, it's heightened reality, I don't know. But I'm getting paid to do it, so I'm happy to do it.
So speaking of scandal, we've had some time since the finale. Do you have thoughts on it? Are you happy with how the finale played out?
Yeah, I'm really happy with how the finale played out. You know, we, a lot of people have said, oh, it wasn't time for it to end, and I think we as a group all felt that we told all the stories we needed to tell. You know, I've had people come up to me and say, oh, your character, Jake, didn't deserve to take the fall for everybody's bad deeds, and I sort of feel like, well, someone had to. And I was happy, look, I'm happy I wasn't David Rosen, I didn't die. You know, so 10 years from now, when we're up here talking about the Scandal reunion show on ABC or wherever we were, it was ABC, right?
Yes.
Here's why I remember it's ABC, because I got kids, and ABC is owned by Disney, and Disneyland gets my kids in free.
Smart man.
That's why Whiskey Cavalier's on ABC. Yeah, I think Scandal, you know, sort of burned bright for the right amount of time, and I'm really proud to have been a part of that show. I've never had an on-set experience as good as that one. We are, you know, there's usually one jerk in every cast. Maybe it's me, I don't know. I guess if you look around, what is the old show? You look around the poker table, you can't find out? Yeah, anyway.
It's you.
Yeah, it's me. But no, we all got along really well. I was extremely proud of the work we did and proud to be a part of such a show that was a real groundbreaker, you know, and I can't imagine not seeing or speaking to those people for the rest of my life. Wow.
That could get some applause.
And I'm not that guy.
Not that guy. So speaking of reunions, you're here for another show called Felicity. Maybe people have heard of it.
Yeah.
So let's just get it out of the way now. When's the Felicity reboot happening?
In 9 years, when Whiskey Cavalier ends its run. I don't know. You know, I watched the Gilmore Girls revival and I loved it. I watched Roseanne until it imploded. By the way, I thought the show was great. I thought Roseanne was a great show. I really loved it, before and now. I don't think Felicity, look, if they reboot it, God, don't reboot it. You know, I mean, it was so specific to a lot of people, to a specific generation, to that time in their lives. Look, they can't do it with us now. It just wouldn't work. We're all too old. No, but I mean that. Look, Felicity was about that magical time in your life when you're transitioning into adulthood and you're sort of finding your way. You know, I know there was a 30-something panel here the other day. I don't want to see 70-something. You know? Like, I know Ken Olin, he's a talented director now. I know Peter Horton, he's a talented guy. It's not interesting. It just misses something else. It's like, I don't know, they'd be doing Cocoon or something. You know? And I don't mean that as a slight. I just, you know, these shows tell stories about specific times in characters' lives. And I guess the only way to reboot Felicity would be to do it again with a new cast, but still focus on those college years, the transition from high school to college to adulthood. I guess that would work. I don't know, you'd have to come up with a new theme song. It's a whole thing.
Of all the roles you played, do you have a favorite?
Of all the roles I've played, do I have a favorite? Look, I love Noel Crane. There's something so sweet about Noel and Felicity. He was perfect for me at that time. I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you know this if you're Felicity fans. I was originally cast as Ben Covington in Felicity. I went in and I read, I auditioned for Noel and they thought I'd be a better Ben, so I went to the network and I tested for Ben and I got the gig. And I had wardrobe fittings and they couldn't find their Noel, and J.J. Abrams called me. He said, "Hey, I got a favor to ask of you." And I was like, "Oh, all right." And he said, we want you to play Noel. And I took a step back and I said, well, you know, having been cast as Ben was sort of sold to me as the male lead of the show. I don't know if I'm willing. He said, no, we're gonna tell you. We got it planned out. Noel ends up with Felicity at the end. I was like, oh yeah, all right, sure, I'll do it.
How'd that work out?
I think I was lied to. That being said,
spoiler alert.
That being said, Scott Speedman is and was amazing in that role. We could not have, personally or character-wise, been more different and more suited for the roles we ended up playing. I can't imagine the show any other way. I would not have been, Felicity would not have been the show it was were I been. No one could have done it aside from Scott Speedman. Now that being said, it's a funny story, when we were creating Whiskey Cavalier, right now this is the perfect role for me and I had so much fun playing it. When we were creating it, I sat down with Bill Lawrence and he said, what do you want? And I said, aside from a fun show and something light, I said, look, Felicity, I didn't get the girl. Scrubs, I didn't get the girl. The unit, no one cared.
Someone cared.
Yeah.
She cared.
Scandal, I didn't get the girl. I said, if I don't get the girl in a show I'm creating, I'm gonna shoot someone. Because I have a gun in my hand in the show as well.
I'm very afraid of you right now. The business has obviously gone through so many changes. You know, what do you think the biggest changes from your perspective as an actor?
Oh gosh, there's so many. I mean, I don't even know where to begin. I mean, I can start, no one wants to hear money problems from actors, so I'm not gonna start there. But I mean, you remember this, I'll start there actually. You remember this, that when you would do a pilot, you used to get double your fee for the pilot. It no longer happens. So if the pilot goes, you're screwed. But I think the biggest change for actors is the amount of content that's out there right now. I'm happy to say that it's a benefit to, I think, to everyone in the industry. You know, there's a gig to be had. The other great change is the focus on diversity, whether it be minorities or women or you know, LGBT, whatever it is, the focus and bringing that to light, and especially being part of a show like Scandal. You know, Kerry Washington being the first female African-American lead on a network television show in something like 47 years. This is something that had to happen. I didn't as a straight white male, didn't realize the problem was as big as it was until I was a part of Scandal and realized that there are people that watch all the same television we do that until recently never got to see someone who looked like them represented on a television screen. And I can't fathom that, and the fact that people, it sounds ridiculous, no one looks like me on TV. It's a big deal. It is a huge, huge deal. We relate to people. I relate and I mold who I am to a degree off of these images I see. And you look for heroes, you look for mentors, you look for role models. And to have someone who is representative of your community, of the person you are, is so important. And the fact that it's taking time, and we're not anywhere near where we need to be, but the fact that we are headed in the right direction, I think is a big, big deal. I think that's the biggest change right now, positively. Yeah.
Can we get some applause for
Yes.
Thank you. That was true, representation matters. I mean, 100%.
It is I can't even tell you, I have a wife who's an immigrant, and to listen to her talk about the fact that women are underrepresented, and she's an actress as well, and how hard it is getting roles and good roles, especially for women as they age, it's really important. And I think, I'm hesitant to say how important television is in our lives and entertainment, but look, people go to work and they come home and they need a break, and entertainment is that break. And it's how I spend time with my family and my wife. We put our kids down and we watch Survivor or The Handmaid's Tale, and that's how we interact, because we don't like to talk to each other about anything real.
Speaking of not talking to each other, I know you're really active on social media. What is it with you and Zach Braff on Instagram? What's happening there?
Nobody cares, Sean. Zach Braff, I can't post anything without Zach making fun of me. I don't know if he's jealous, I don't know what his deal is. Sorry that his show on ABC got canceled and I took his slot.
Someone please tweet that right now.
It's already been tweeted. And he's already responded to me. Thank you, Foley. No, look, Zach's a friend. We had a great time doing Scrubs together, and I remember when he was writing Garden State, and he would show me edits when I was there. And I've just been a fan and a friend of his for a long time, and I think he's, talk about a great director. I think look, not that Zach's not a good actor, but I didn't say anything. But I think his talent lies in directing and storytelling, and he's, I hope he gets to do more because he's really found his footing there.
Wonderful. All right, you guys get ready because I'm going to turn it over to you for questions, but I've got one last one for you.
Okay.
What advice would you offer to give to actors that are starting out now?
Don't give up. Don't give up. There is nothing like doing what I do. I love what I do. And if you can do anything else, go do it. Look, I didn't go to college. I never wanted to do anything but this. I did plays from the time I was 7 years old. I did all the junior high and high school and community productions. I love a stage. While you guys were watching this, I was walking around backstage looking at the curtains, and it's just, I love this stuff. I love being on stage, and I think if it's what you want to do it. Don't give up. Go to LA, go to New York, do whatever you have to do.
Go to Prague.
Come to Prague. I got a TV show in Prague.
Wonderful. All right, it's up to you guys. I think there's a mic up there.
Yeah. Hello.
Yo!
Hi.
Hi. Hi.
Yeah, grab it.
My name's Kimberly.
Hi, Kimberly.
And I'm a fan of your work, and I especially was pleasantly surprised to see you sort of parody yourself on Undateable Live.
Yes, TV Scott Foley.
Yeah, yeah, that was so funny.
Thank you.
And Insecure as their sort of show within the show.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to have you talk about sort of parodying yourself and what that's like.
Yeah, no, I don't know if I'm parodying myself. These people are writing these shows for me, you know? I'm sort of showing up and taking the gig. No, look, I like to work, right? And I like to work with people I respect and shows I like. I'm a big fan of Insecure, and when they called me and said, hey, we want you to play the slave master on the show within a show. I had to ask around. That was okay. It was okay. But Undateable was a great experience for me. You know, I love, like I said, being in front of an audience, being on stage. That was a multi-camera show that shot in front of an audience and was live.
Yeah.
Aired live. We did 2 showings, one on the one West Coast, obviously, one East Coast, or East Coast and West Coast. And it was great. And we had, I'll tell you, we got to do, I almost got the show shut down. They almost like hit, they have a button that if you say a bad word or do something, the whole network will go black for 20 seconds. And so the first, you do the East Coast taping and you do it exactly as they want. The West Coast taping was coming up and there was a scene where Chris D'Elia supposedly looks into my eyes, into TV Scott Foley's eyes, and loses time, and I can sort of get him to do anything I want. And I probably shouldn't tell this story. And
Learn it now.
we were filming, rolling live for the West Coast, and my scene was about to come up, and Bill Lawrence, who created that show as well, said, all right, do what you want. He'll do anything. He's got to do it. I was like, oh man, here we go. And he said, Scott Foley, your eyes aren't that great. And he sort of freezes and looks into my eyes. And I said, unbutton your shirt. He unbuttoned his shirt. And I said, now get on your knees. He got on his knees. I said, come here a bit. He sort of scooted closer to me. It got fairly graphic. At one point, he said, I don't think this is in the script, TV Scott Foley. And before the scene was done, someone in the background was like, cut, that's it, we're going to commercial! They were, as I'm told, literally like doing this to shut the whole thing down, because it seemed, I wasn't doing anything wrong, but it seemed, as I was simulating a sexual act, for Chris D'Elia to perform on me, but I was not. I was just having him do things that I thought would be funny on camera.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's go to this side now. Play fair.
Oh, hey.
My name's Megan.
Hi, Megan.
My question is something you touched on a bit whenever you were talking about Kerry Washington as a lead. Is there was part of being attracted to this project the fact that there is a strong female lead who, at least from the pilot, appears to be, you know, at least physically and mentally your co-equal, or, you know.
She can kick your ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big part of it. You know, I had, on a couple of levels, I've been doing this a long time, and I've seen what being a single lead on a television show can do to not just you, but to your life. You know, it is, it's a huge responsibility. There's a lot of pressure on you, not just for the show to perform well, but time-wise. You know, shooting a television show takes a lot of time. You're there for 15, 16 hours a day, and I have a family. I didn't want to be away from it for that long. So looking to sort of share that time with someone else was a big thing for me. And, you know, having come off a show with a female lead, a strong female lead, a powerful woman who knows what she wants, really opened my eyes to being around characters like, was that me?
It's the water bottle.
To being around characters like that, and what playing opposite a character like that can bring to a character that I'm playing. And it was, there's a lot more you can do with a strong character, be it male or female, to play off of. You know, someone who's a pushover, someone who's just sort of a ragdoll or a funny anti-hero is great and needed, but when you're looking for longevity in a television show, to be able to have an equal is really, really important. And you know, this show, what you saw was a lot of me and a lot of her, but going forward, it's going to be a group of us, sort of as you see at the end. We're going to be a team, and that was important to me too, mostly because of the time with my family. But a strong female character is, especially nowadays, touching on, you know, what I spoke about with regards to diversity is really important. And selfishly in a couple of ways. There's, you know, look, when you're selling a show, when you're pitching a show in a room, these executives are thinking like, all right, well, there's a movement now. It's called Me Too. What do you got? What are you gonna show us? And, you know, I hate to say it, but it helps when you're selling that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go back over here. I want to keep mixing it up. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm the unit fan that was screaming so hard. So we saw Noel have his ending, we saw your character on Scandal have his ending. How would you have wanted your character to end on the unit?
How did it end now? You know, television is an interesting thing because you, most of the time, you finish a season expecting to get more, and they say like, "That's it, you're done." Going into the unit, it was pitched to me as my character's name was Bob Brown, that the show was going to be seen from his eyes, right? He was the new guy entering the Delta Force, and we were going to sort of see this world unfold through his eyes. I think it would have been nice to have it end in the same way, whether he chooses to get out, whether he chooses to embrace it fully. I'm talking my ass off because I really don't remember how it ended. How did it end?
It just went away. Yeah, that's the thing, it just like went away. Like Jonas was in trouble and you didn't know where everybody was gonna stand, and yeah, I've been waiting a long time to figure that out too.
God, I wish I could help you.
It's okay, just let me get lost in your eyes and it'll
Were you not a female, I'd say unbutton your shirt.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I'm in so much trouble. I can't even tell.
Good thing no one's here. We're fine.
Fun? These panels are fun. Hey, dude.
Hey, Scott. My name is Ken, and we're kind of around the same age. So, you said you watched a lot of television when you were growing up, and basically like Mr. Drummond and Mrs. Garrett raised me.
Yes.
And, like everything I've learned about life is from television, whether it's friendship from Richie and the Fonz, and love from Bo and Hope, from like how to care about your grades from Alex P. Keaton. And my question to you is, what were your heroes when you were growing up that changed you, as you were talking about earlier? And what show do you remember being kind of devastated that it ended as a child?
Oh, wow, they all end. They all end. I think the character that changed me, I remember, you mentioned Family Ties. I remember watching Alex P. Keaton and thinking, oh, that guy talked back to his parents. Like, he stands up, you know? He had a cause, he had a devotion to something that was opposite of what his parents wanted, and and for me, that was a huge deal. I grew up overseas, and so we were a really tight-knit family, and always sort of relied on each other. But when we moved back to the States, and I saw Family Ties, I remember thinking like, wait a minute, whoa. I can do my own thing here. And that was, I loved that show, and I think that character and the dynamic within that family really spoke to me. What show was I devastated over that ended? You're not going to know this show. So I lived for...
Probably so.
I lived for a while in Sydney, Australia.
Oh, I won't.
Yeah. Sorry. And there was it's gonna sound like it's not a show, but it's a show. There was a show called Skippy the Bush Kangaroo.
Did it make it here?
Skippy the Bush Kangaroo, Skippy. Yeah. And
I knew I was gonna get you to sing.
You got me to sing. It did not make it over here, I don't think. But they, the year before we moved, they stopped airing Skippy the Bush Kangaroo. And instead of watching Skippy the Bush Kangaroo and the Muppets every Wednesday night in front of, while we ate dinner in front of the TV, we just had the Muppets and we had to go to bed earlier. Sorry, Skippy. Look it up, it's a show. Thanks, brother.
I'll go to this side now.
Hi, Scott.
Hi.
Well, what's up?
Yeah, it's all right, me too.
I'm really excited that you're here.
Thank you.
you.
No shade.
So I grew up watching Felicity, and one of my favorite things was how excited Noel was about the internet, noelcrane.com.
Yes, I think it's still up. The last time I checked.
It's still up.
It's still
there.
You do?
Yeah.
I haven't checked in like 5 years, but way to go.
Yeah. So my question is, it's a little bit outdated right now. So would you ever do like a web series, like what's Noel up to now?
A web series, What's Noel Up To Now? I think that'd be fun. I would love to do that. I mean, it could be like 3 minutes, him walking you around his office, or what do you think he's doing? Is he a web designer? Like, what's he doing?
To be honest, I think that he's divorced.
Happens to the best of us.
And he's filming like videos to get Felicity back.
So you think he's divorced, but he hasn't gotten Felicity back yet? I'd argue that he's divorced and has gotten Felicity.
Okay.
But I'd do it. I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be a lot of fun. Write it.
I will.
Deal.
Okay. Nice meeting you again.
Nice meeting you too.
Over here.
Hey, man.
Hey, you've mentioned how much of a TV fan you are. Are you all caught up on The Americans? And if so, what did you think of the finale?
All right.
Get interesting.
I've heard the finale was great.
It was.
I've heard it was like, you hear, meh, I heard it was amazing. I am not all caught up. I am only through season 2. Oh, come on. There's a lot of TV out there. And I have 3 little kids.
Look, bush kangaroo, but
And Escaping the Bush Kangaroo. No. What did you think of the finale?
I'm withholding until.
Oh,
Like, there's people I talk to about TV, and they're not so.
oh, got it.
Yeah.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I appreciate you doing that for them, for their sake. I will get there. I'm gonna say something. As big of a TV fan is, I'm still only on the first season of The Sopranos. Oh, that wasn't that big of a deal to everybody. Yeah, I'm kind of busy. Yeah. But look. I thought I think there is no. How do I say this? Kerry Russell is a phenomenon. Having worked with her now 20 years ago, but just having watched what she's done, whether it's been Waitress or The Americans and everything in between, Mission Impossible, she is, I've always thought, one of the most underrated beauties, and until The Americans, underrated actresses out there, even though she won a Golden Globe for Felicity 20 years ago. I can't wait to get back into it once I finish The Handmaid's Tale, and once there's a bunch of Mrs. Maisel. You guys see Mrs. Maisel? Might be the best show I've ever seen. But I'm gonna get there, and next time I'm here, we'll talk about it, and I'll tell you what I thought. And then you have to tell me what you thought, because you're withholding as well. All right, fair dinkum.
Go ahead.
Hi.
So I really loved the pilot. It was really good.
Thank you.
And I was wondering, I know it's early, you may not know a whole lot yet, but what do you see the supporting characters doing in the future? And also, is that hack data going to play a role in future episodes at all?
The idea is that hack data will play a role. That's hopefully going to be part of the larger story, because he took the data and it had so much to do with the Dylan Walsh character. I'll get it. Mom?
You'll make someone's night.
The Dylan Walsh character, even though he dies here, the data is important. He wasn't doing it by himself. He wasn't rogue, so there's a lot more people involved. As to your question about the supporting characters, they are going to be equally as important to me as in every sort of great. But you got James Bond or Jason Bourne. You know, there's the techie guy, there's the computer guy. Like everybody plays their part and is integral to the storytelling, to the characters within the show. So I can't see. It's definitely, thank God, not the Scott Foley show, because who wants to watch that?
I think a lot of people.
How about that? Was that fishing or what? Thank you.
Thank you.
You got it.
All right, last question.
Okay. You probably don't remember that we played tennis at the Chris Everett Pro-Am. And
I knew you looked familiar to me.
because the embarrassing part was you were such a great guy because I didn't know who he was. So we're just, I'm like, I don't know who it is. And it was Corey's, but she has a huge crush on Scott Foley. Chris Everett is digging Scott Foley, as you well know. And so I'm wondering about your going to Czechoslovakia and having your family, because you haven't been to the tournament, and you know, you gotta.
I was at the tournament last year.
You were?
I was there. Where were you?
I wasn't. I paid to play. He's there. I'm amped. But that's leading to your Czechoslovakia life and being over there with your kids. How is that affecting all that type of stuff you have going?
You know, this is what I do, right? I do television, and if it's in Los Angeles, I'm lucky enough sometimes to be able to do these charity things in Los Angeles. Sometimes I'm able to fly away. When I'm shooting in Europe, I have a feeling we're going to be in Europe. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to make it to Florida to play some tennis. But
that time of year.
Yeah, look, this is really important to me. This is a show that I've wanted to do for a long time, and this is a show that I'm not just really proud of as a show, but I think as a genre, something we need to. I'd love to see more of, and you know, that takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of work, and the fact that I'm going to be doing it, you know, like I said, it's 15 hours a day, and that sounds like, oh, no way. It's 15 hours a day. On a good day, it's 12 hours. So it leaves very little time for tennis or my family. You know, that's if I'm not working, I'm with my family. That's what my wife always says. You're so busy. I'm like, babe, I go to work and I come home. I go to work and I come home. I don't go see friends for lunch. I don't get fucking manicures. I go to work and I come home. So it's a no to the Chris Everett charity. Unless she wants to hold it in Prague.
She might.
Deal.
Well, we're so glad you made it to Austin. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you guys all for coming to see this. It means so much that you came out.
Careful.